Welcome to the Fraternity Foodie podcast. This is the top podcast for college students and college administrators to geek out with the positives, the negatives, and everything in between that's happening on your campus. It's time to ask the difficult questions and find real solutions. We are talking to the best guest on the planet about fraternities, sororities, college life, and of course, we're looking for great food in college towns all across North America. And here is your host, speaker, entrepreneur, resident foodie, and Greek University CEO, Mike Ayalon.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode number 88 of Fraternity Foodie. I am your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. We call these episodes Fraternity Foodie because there is nothing like great food to bring people together. Today, we are going to be talking about health and fitness with Emily Coffman, host of Girls Gone Healthy podcast. Now, Emily, she came up with this idea for the podcast when she realized how many women just like her were struggling when it comes to working out, eating right, and feeling confident in their own bodies. Our bodies are always changing and fluctuating, and no one really taught us how to adapt to all of these changes that we're going through. Instead, we get hit with all these messages about burning more calories and trying the new latest fad diet that's out there. Interestingly enough, Emily was a Division I athlete at the University of Oklahoma, and she was living a very unhealthy lifestyle, as she describes it. She thought that she was healthy because she was constantly being active and she could eat whatever she wanted without gaining weight. But the truth is that she didn't really know how to train without overworking herself or how to fuel her body properly. So I felt when I saw this story, I was like, you know what? This is going to be a lot of help to all of our listeners, especially college students that are struggling with some of these issues. So I am so excited. Welcome to the show, Emily.
Yeah, that was quite the introduction. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. It is absolutely amazing to have your voice on Fraternity Foodie because I just think that so many people go through similar experiences, such as the one that you went through at OU. And so I think they could benefit from hearing all of your journey as you start learning more about eating right and exercise and all of these things. So I want to start a little bit with your background. I think it's helpful for people to understand that first. So you chose the University of Oklahoma for your undergraduate college experience. Why OU?
Yeah, so it seemed kind of random because I'm from Boston, so I'd never even been to the state of Oklahoma before going to visit. But they had such a good rowing program, and that's why I even wanted to go to college. And then also, college is that time to branch out, get out of your comfort zone. And I knew that there'd never be another reason for me to move to Oklahoma. So I chose that and I loved it there.
That's really cool. All right. So now it's starting to make sense because I saw the Boston and I'm like, Oklahoma, where did that come from? So you were an NCAA Division I athlete. So you were serving as coxswain for the women's rowing team. And in that role, you're basically head of communications for the group. You direct the boat, you manage all of the wind, you deal with the currents, the strengths of teammates, because everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. And then you're working on group unison as well, kind of coordinating everybody's movements. So I'm just wondering, what did you learn about yourself and also working with other students in this important role for the rowing team?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting role. Like half the time I wouldn't even consider myself an athlete because I was like, I'm not working out, I'm doing all this coordination that is so difficult, but I'm not actually working out. But yeah, it's kind of like the coach in the boat, I'm coordinating between the coach's orders and all of these athletes that are there and there's 8 people to a boat. So, it's hard to please everyone at the same time. And I am the voice of the boat. I'm the only one speaking at practice, the only one speaking during the race. And so all that pressure falls onto you. And so I think that I definitely struggled with it coming in as a freshman, an 18-year-old girl. I thought that I was like the best in high school. And then I come and I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. But I think that, being put in a leadership role so young, you learn all the responsibility from it because there's so many things that happen that are out of your control, but that as a leader you take responsibility for.
Yeah.
And I think that that was a really good learning experience for me because it was like, you can no longer be like, these are my actions and then I serve the consequence. But, you do have to look at what everyone else is doing and be like, okay, how can I benefit the team the best? Kind of putting team before self in that situation.
I think it's an amazing experience, to be honest with you, because I think anybody that goes out in the real world and they have their career, they're going to be managing a bunch of people. Everybody's going to want to go off in their own direction. And the question is, can you get them all to work together in unison or not? And you've got that skill. There's no question in my mind that you have it because you have to if you want to be successful in that role on the women's rowing team, right?
Oh, yeah, and especially coming from Boston too, I'm joining this team that's a bunch of people from Texas, bunch of people from Oklahoma, so,
Mhm.
they're more Southern, they're known for hospitality, and we're not known for that up here, so I remember joining the team, and everyone's kinda like, "She has, like, a stick up her butt, doesn't she?" I was like, "No, that's kinda just me." But I was definitely known for being very serious a lot of the time, really competitive, and it took me a while to kind of find where my personality could fit in without trying to change myself to every critique that came my way.
Yeah, totally get it. I'm originally a New Yorker, born in Manhattan, in New York City, and now living in Nashville, Tennessee. So you can imagine I'm going through the same things that you're going through, I promise you. And so the other thing that was interesting about you, you're also a member of a sorority, which is Alpha Omicron Pi. So I'm just wondering, what was that sorority experience like for you, especially given your responsibilities with the rowing team?
Yeah, I love joining a sorority. I know that's something that a lot of athletes don't do, they don't have the ability to do, but for me, I was like, that would really give me the full college experience. Because
Mhm.
when you're on a Division 1 team, like you spend so much time with the team, with training that I felt like that was my whole life. And being in a sorority was like a breath of fresh air of like, okay, I can hang out with people that are talking about class or talking about like going out or like doing fun activities that's not just training.
Mhm.
And so I really enjoyed the experience, but my sophomore year, I decided to live in the house. And at Oklahoma, the houses are huge. I think there's like
Mhm.
60 girls that all live together.
Mhm.
And of course, I'm the only one on the schedule of waking up at 5 a.m. So I remember, like, I'd be like, guys, I want to hang out with you, but I can only hang out till like 9 and then it's bedtime. And they're like, well, we're going out for dinner at like 9:30. So I remember that it was such a different life that I was living than them, but it was a really good experience that at least I got to participate in some of the things.
Yeah, I'm glad that you had that opportunity. I think that's fantastic. And of course, you have a lifetime of membership. So those connections and the network and everything that you learn doesn't go away. I'm curious, was your coach like okay with you going Greek and maybe some of the other women on the team? Because that's what I hear from the students so many times is that the coaches are just firmly against membership in Greek organizations. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I know that it definitely caused some issues.
Mhm.
I didn't go like against their orders. It was just something that wasn't really talked about. But for me, I thought that I had such a good handle on my responsibilities as a student athlete that it wasn't like another stress to me. For me, it was almost a stress relief of joining another organization. And so I know that a lot of time coaches wouldn't encourage that because it can be seen as a distraction. But
Mhm.
for me, I think that helped develop how I related to my teammates. I think it helped develop who I was as a leader because instead of being so ingrained of how am I performing in practice, I kind of had a way to get out of that mindset.
I agree completely. I wish that more women, more men that are Division One athletes get that opportunity because I agree with you. I think there's value to that. So I think it's a matter of kind of bridging the gaps between maybe what the coaches think or what their preconceived ideas are about Greek life, and just bridging that divide. Having conversations with the students to explain all of the benefits. And clearly, you got the benefits from AOPI, so that's a wonderful thing. But when you were at OU, I know that you struggled in terms of working out, eating right, and just feeling confident about your body. So, what is the right way for college students to be training without overworking yourself?
Yeah, I think that it's really important. The first step is to get the education on yourself, kind of taking note, taking inventory of how am I feeling? Because a lot of the times, for me especially, I was like just going to different coaches of, oh, what should I be doing? And they'd give you a plan. Go to a nutritionist. Oh, they'd give you a plan, but they don't actually know personally, how much stress you're in, how your body's feeling, what your goals might be. And so I think that a lot of the time, when you're looking to get in this healthier lifestyle or you're looking to be more confident, you just do more, more, more. You're
Mhm.
like, what more can I do to help this? And sometimes what your body does want is a break. And so, especially with not trying to overtrain, it's so important to kind of just listen to what your body's telling you because a lot of the times it'll be telling you slow down.
Right. All right, that's really good. I like that. That's good advice. And in terms of nutrition, I think about I went to the University of Buffalo in New York, where like buffalo wings is like something you have on a daily basis. Okay. So I will tell you my diet in college was not very good. So I'm wondering, how can college students fuel their bodies properly? How do you do that, especially when given like a limited budget that college students have?
Yeah, I definitely feel that at Oklahoma, we had unlimited Chick-fil-A in our dining hall. And so, I mean, it's unlimited. It's like, why wouldn't you just eat it all there so you don't have to go pay for it? But yeah, I think that it is a huge shift going from, a lot of families when you're living at home, it's like, okay, mom cooks the dinner for you, dad cooks the dinner for you. You have what's in front of you, and now you have all of these options. And so I think that a big thing for the people that, they're like, oh, I'm struggling with nutrition is they're trying to do too much at once. They're trying to go, okay, I have all these things at the dining hall, but I'm not going to touch any of the unhealthy options, right? They're like, okay, I'm just going to now make a big switch to salad or, what they think the healthy options are. And I mean, there's a balance for everything. All food can fit in your diet in some way. And so I think that it's important to, let yourself have a little bit of that freedom while also, staying mindful of what you are eating. I think it's easier a lot of the times to eat a little bit of what you want and then, okay, how can I add in something else to make this better? How can you add in the protein? How can you add in the vegetables? So that way, the buffalo chicken wings, the Chick-fil-A, like those things that sound appealing to you, you don't have to cut them out of your diet because I think that's a lot of time where people have the misconception and that's where then they just try to cut it out and it makes it unfun, right? No one wants to live their life being like, "Oh, that's the friend that can't go out to dinner with us." Like, it shouldn't be affecting your life that much.
Yeah, so it's all about moderation, right? I mean, it's okay every once in a while, right? So that's good. And then the other thing I know that I struggle with personally is just sugar. And so I guess I'm wondering how we can manage sugar in our diets because I am always craving junk food, like things like Sour Patch Kids, I will eat like constantly. And I know that there's so much sugar in most of the foods that we eat normally. So I'm just wondering, how do we manage that in our diet?
Yeah, so I touched on, it briefly of what can you add into your diet because,
Mhm.
if you are adding in more of these filling foods, nutrition foods, then you're going to be more full anyways and might not want the junk food nearly as much.
Gotcha.
And then also, another way you said you love Sour Patch Kids.
Mhm.
Well, I wouldn't say cut out Sour Patch Kids. It's like, okay, what food or what sugar can you cut out that maybe you wouldn't miss as much? You don't
Right.
want to cut out the things you love, but say you don't really like birthday cake and you just kind of snack on it if, someone brought it into your house. It's like, okay, well, if that's not even enjoying anyways, if you're not enjoying that, that's the easier things to start to remove and
Mhm.
start to moderate.
Got it. All right, that's good. That's helpful. So I follow you on social media, and I know recently you were talking about the relationships that people have with their scale. And I thought this was really fascinating because if people are a few pounds over their goal, whatever their goal weight is, people assume that whatever they're doing is not working. And then they go back to eating all of this garbage food, right? And then if you are a few pounds under your goal weight, whatever that number is, then you celebrate by going out to eat and you eat total garbage food. So either way, we end up with the same result as going out and binging on some really bad food. So how can you just learn to trust your body and ditch the scale?
Yeah, so it's seriously a never-ending cycle there where you're
Mhm.
up, you binge, you're down, you binge. And so personally, I don't use a scale at all anymore because it's something that I relied on so much when I was competing because my weight did have to be a certain exact weight every time I was competing. And so once I remove myself from the scale because it's like, well, what is the scale really telling you?
Mhm.
Right? Like if you weigh yourself in the morning, well, maybe you're lighter because you haven't even eaten for the day yet. And then what happens if you have a cup of coffee? Well, you're going to weigh in higher like a few minutes later. I
Mhm.
don't really know what it's telling you too much. And I think a lot of people get so fixated on that. And so what I do instead is, how is it making you feel? Are you feeling more energetic? Are you feeling happier? Like you are you hydrated and healthy? Like I think that if you go by your feeling and trusting yourself of what you're doing, then you're not going to be relying on these fluctuations of, oh, if it's up a day, then I'm unhappy with myself. Or if
Mhm.
it's down, then I'm happy with myself. Like we shouldn't be placing our worth on what the scale's telling us.
Amen. Preach. I mean, I think about what you must have felt like every day getting up and weighing yourself to make sure that you fit exactly in the mold that you needed to be. And what does that feel like? What does that do to you as a human being to have to be married to that number? And God forbid you should be over that number. I mean, I can't even imagine what that was like for you every day.
Yeah, because I was a coxswain from the time I was a freshman in high school to a senior in college, so 8 years of having to be the same weight, and it was never talked to me of like, "Okay, maybe that's not realistic," right? Like,
Right.
your body's changing, and it was never told to me of, "Okay, maybe you can be a few pounds over," or, "This is how you adjust," like, none of that was ever said. It was just kind of like, "Your worth is based on if you can hit this number," because my position didn't have a lot of physical things you could measure. As
Mhm.
I said, I didn't really consider myself an athlete sometimes because I wasn't lifting weights. I wasn't doing all of these other measurements. And so, if the only thing that you're measuring in your health journey is the scale, well, that's going to change a lot. And you shouldn't be changing your worth that much.
Amen. Your worth is so much more than that number. Oh my God. I just have to tell you that. I hope you believe that because it's so true. And oh my God, I can't imagine what that must have done over a 4-year period at OU. My goodness. And even before that, like you said, when you're in high school as well. I'm sure there are days that you wake up and you have absolutely no motivation whatsoever to work out because I know that happens to me all the time. I'm still working out every single day and I find a way to push through. But I think our audience, it would be helpful for them to hear it from you. How do you stay motivated to work out?
Yeah, so the first thing is having a plan. If I wake up and I didn't have any sort of plan to work out that day, it would never be like, "Oh, this is what I wanna do right now." Like, I really wanna push myself. Like, no, you never, like, really want to do the hard work, and so
Mhm,
I like to schedule it in the mornings, and then as you said, even every morning, I'm not gonna have that motivation. When the alarm clock goes off, say at 6 AM,
mhm,
then you have that decision of, "Okay, do I want an hour more of sleep or do I wanna go do hard work?" And so you can't think of it like that. You have to think about what result is this workout giving you.
mhm,
And so for me, I like to work out because it boosts my mood. I'm in such a happy mood after, if I do it before work, then I have energy throughout the day. And so if you think of that end result, then you're no longer comparing it to, oh, I have to spend an hour doing this, or oh, I could get some more sleep. Like when you put it that way, it's gonna be really hard to motivate yourself. Whereas if you look at the end goal of this is gonna make me feel so much better. This is gonna make me feel accomplished. This
yeah.
is gonna like me putting myself in a hard position and completing a workout, like that gives you confidence right there that you can do hard things. That's what keeps me motivated is I know I'll get that feeling after.
I love that message, just focusing on the end result. It's so true. For me, I also work out in the mornings, and everybody's different. Maybe there's people out there that like to work out in the evenings, and that's the time for them. Whatever. I mean, it's totally cool. But for me, I would say I love to work out in the mornings as soon as I wake up because I'm just more focused. As soon as I sit down at my desk after a really good workout, I don't know, I'm just really clear headed. I'm focused. I'm motivated to jump into work. Whereas if I try to just jump straight into work after waking up, after sleeping in, quote unquote, there's no way. I mean, there's no way. I don't have the energy. I don't have the motivation, but working out, it just seems to focus everything for me.
Yeah, it's kind of my me time.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for myself.
Hmm.
It's no distraction time. It's just me with myself. And so that's why, I think that it does make a big difference in my life. And it's not, once again, because I'm weighing myself before the workout and after. That will never give you enough motivation. So I think that it has to come from something internal. And that's how you keep the discipline to keep going.
I love it. Clearly, you're not doing it for a number anymore. You don't even own a scale, so whatever with that.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. And the other thing I want to talk to you about is just social media in general right now. You're on social media, so I'm sure you see it. And I think confidence is something that today's college students really struggle with because of social media. I mean, we're constantly comparing ourselves to somebody else's best day on Instagram. And I think about what that does to any human being, especially college students that want to be well liked. And you're always thinking about how many likes do I have on this post? How popular am I because of this device? And we're never really satisfied with it. I mean, the person that gets 5 likes and the person that gets 500 likes, neither one of them are completely satisfied. They think that they always need more. It's you're chasing something that is never ending. And so, I think it decreases everybody's confidence. And so I guess my question is, how can you replace all of these negative thoughts that go into your head with really what I would call these self-love techniques?
Yeah, social media is so hard, especially, right now, there's not as much face-to-face interaction. Most of it is just spending the day on social media, which is so hard. And so I've definitely fallen into that comparison trap. I think that's where, your confidence goes away if you're comparing yourself with these other people, especially, I'm in the health field, so I'm trying to, find these fitness instructors, and I'm like comparing myself to them. I'm like, I don't look like that while working out. I don't look like that. But I think that what you can kind of take away is one, take things with a grain of salt, right? Like they're
Mhm.
never going to be showing the non perfect side of things. It's all curated, it's the highlight reel. But also, I like to do the comparison game like with myself. Like, how can I compare how I'm performing now to maybe how I was performing a month ago? Right? Like when quarantine first started, I really struggled finding a new routine. I was like, how can I motivate myself to work out at home? I have this small apartment, so probably for the first, like, 2 months, it was, that game of, like, trying to convince myself to work out, and now I've kind of gotten into a routine again, and I think that's something that I can be proud about. It's not something I'd really, post a picture about and put on social media, but
Mhm.
I think that if you can make the comparison of, okay, are you yourself improving on your journey? That's what's important. It's not what someone else is doing, because someone else will always be doing something better, easier, whatever. So I think that, just taking a step back and realizing what you're doing for yourself.
Yeah, that's a great message because I can't compare myself to the Arnold Schwarzeneggers of the world. I'm never going to have that kind of body composition. All right. It's never going to happen for me. So I just have to get over it. And then I think you're right. We're all running our own individual race, right? We're not always comparing ourselves to somebody else's time. It's more about how am I doing? How am I performing? And am I improving? Am I in the right direction or am I heading in the wrong direction? And I think you're right. I think it's all about just comparing it to yourself and your own past performance and whether or not you're making progress. And I think if we frame it up that way, then maybe on social media, when we see these other fitness instructors, we're not like, oh, I should look like that. No, you shouldn't. You're you, right? You're great as is. So yeah, I think that's a great message. That's really, really good.
Yeah, because
Um,
if you, like, know your why of why you're working out, of why you're eating healthy, and if you're really confident in the steps that you're taking, then
mhm.
you're not really concerned anymore about what other people are doing either. So that's kind of how you can build up your confidence, and then, you can look at other people and be happy for what they're doing, but know that it's different from what you're doing.
Right. Perfect. Absolutely perfect message. Now, we love great food here at Fraternity Foodie. I mean, I literally travel the country when it's not quarantine out there. I'm traveling the country, speaking on college campuses all over the country, looking for really good food. And there is obviously a bunch of great universities in the Boston area. My kids, they're already looking at MIT and Harvard. I'm just going to throw it out there. So, what is your favorite restaurant to go to in the Boston area the next time I'm in town? I want to know where you go for food.
Yeah, I mean, Boston's a great college town, it's great for food. I love Regina's Pizzeria. So, it started in the North End where it's all Little Italy there, and it has the best pizza. It's now branched out, but I think I would highly recommend going for some Italian there.
Regina's Pizza. I am down. I am totally down for that. I am a New Yorker though, so I'm going to be a little bit critical about this pizza.
Yeah.
I hope it lives up to the hype that you're giving it right now.
Yeah, you guys also have a lot of good pizza options.
Yeah, in New York City, there's a lot of really good pizza. I'm just saying. Anywhere else I go in the country, if I'm comparing it to New York City pizza, already I've lost because I mean, I don't know what it is, but when you have a slice in a New York City pizzeria, it's just out of this world. It's just every single time they just nail it. They have to because the pizza is so good there. You'll be out of business in 2 minutes if your pizza isn't good in New York City. I mean, it's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So this has been a lot of fun. And I think our listeners got a lot out of this. So if our listeners want to follow you on social media, maybe they want to listen to your podcast and all the interviews and everything that you're learning in your journey, where should they go?
Yeah, so I'm on social media. It's on Instagram at Girls Gone Healthy Podcast. And then that's also the name. So it's Girls Gone Healthy Podcast. I talk about a lot of the things here of my own journey with health and then how you can fit it into your lifestyle as well. So go check it out if you're looking for another podcast in addition to this. And I look forward to connecting.
That's awesome. Everyone go check out Emily's podcast. It's a lot of fun. She's got a lot of great stuff on social media that she shares. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Make sure you like this video, share it with other college students that might be struggling in terms of exercise and eating and all of this stuff. Hopefully this is an added resource that will come in handy for you and all of your fraternity members, sorority members, and other students on campus that you care about. So we really appreciate you joining us. And please let us know how we can help you, other topics that you want to talk about. Please go and follow Emily, and we will see you on another episode of Fraternity Foodie. Bye for now.